Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and as soon as I get done with this video, I have to go up into the kitchen and I have to cut my son's McDonald's pancakes. He's 12 years old now, and he still wants me to cut his pancakes because I guess he's clinging on to his childhood when I did that all the time growing up. So he'd prefer not to learn how to cut his own pancakes. This is the kind of stuff I'm dealing with out here. In the group today, we've got, this video is I've got a lot of stuff. I'm going to try to keep this video to 10 minutes. I got so much stuff that's going on that I'm going to go put at least some of it in the group. I'll probably have to move some of it to the next video, but there's a lot going on out there. If you want to join the group, go to daixrp.com through Patreon or click join below any of my YouTube videos to join through YouTube. We got the SEC warning about AI, the dangers of AI, complexity of artificial intelligence to lure victims into scams. This is part of the reason I'm using Caleb and Brown, so I can actually tell them, hey, unless we get on a Zoom call, I don't want anything major sold or moved. That's a tough thing to duplicate with AI, folks, and these guys are going to be doing it all. If you're interested in looking at an account to have institutional custody, go to xrpwealth589.com. It'll forward you to my affiliate page here. Click sign up today. The market got smoked yesterday, but these are the kind of smokes that, that I've always used as buying opportunities. I would be buying right now. I would be buying XRP right now because of this dip. If it wasn't for one reason only. Yesterday, I had my truck in the shop, and they told me that that it is time for me to spend $1,800 on, and of course, I don't even know what they're fixing. I mean, I generally know, but $1,800 to fix my truck. And so today is not a day that I'll be buying the dip, but I would be buying the dip if I didn't know I had that one in front of me. The market got hit because of Israel hitting Iran. We've seen this movie before. Same kind of stuff happened when the Ukraine thing started, and all the different. Seems like I've been through 5 of these since I got into 5, maybe 10 of these type things since I got into crypto. They don't mean much to me. This is Trump's talking about how he gave Iran a chance and they wouldn't negotiate and da-da-da. And so, but here's an interesting one. Crypto market volatility is rising, but smart money is clustering around XRP and Solana as the on-chain ecosystem booms. But this is what it's really all about, because I've always believed that utility digital assets were literally partially created for the market, because of the market turmoil. Because if you think about it, once digital assets are being actually used and liquidity is flowing because everything's been tokenized and everything's being used for payments, that liquidity will not just disappear overnight and affect markets, if you really think about it. In other words, I've always thought of it as the utility part will be this rising bathtub of liquidity, of water, and then the speculation that we've come to know crypto as. You've already seen people like Matt Hogan from Bitwise say that he thinks the 4-year cycle is over. Well, when I hear that, what I hear is, so what you're really saying is that utility is coming in. Now, once we get regulations, that utility will be solidified. And then that's when that slow rising bathtub of water can begin. And I believe in the future, the crypto market, or at least digital assets with utility, won't react as harshly to these types of things. They'll react because that speculation will be bouncing up and down off of the top of the rising bathtub of water. But I've always believed it would be a slow rising floor, Chad Steingrover says, please just don't understand crypto utility because they've never seen it before. We haven't seen a real market yet, but you're about to. I agree with him. And then Eleanor Terrett put this out. SEC and Ripple have jointly requested a Manhattan District Court to dissolve the injunction in their ongoing case and release the $125 million civil penalty held in escrow. They're proposing that $50 million be paid to the SEC with the remaining funds returned to Ripple. This motion is the latest in the broader effort to settle cases in the pending appeals and avoid further legal proceedings between the two parties. This thing's going to be over in the blink of an eye, folks. And then we've got this. The Senate will vote on the final passage of the Genius Act on Tuesday. Time to be decided, folks. I mean, I may, even though I have to pay $1,800 for them to fix my truck, I may buy a little bit of XRP anyway. Sometimes you just got to say, screw it, right? And then this is the crypto czar on the Genius Act.
And I think we are at an incredible moment because we're about to get stablecoin legislation passed through the Senate. The Genius Act just passed a very important procedural milestone, which is the cloture vote, which means that it got over 60 votes in the Senate, and so that means there won't be a filibuster. I think it's on track to pass. And just getting any kind of crypto legislation passed through Congress with enough bipartisan support to, again, exceed that critical 60 vote threshold in the Senate, so it's on its way to the president's desk. I mean, this is a pretty incredible moment for the crypto community. And I think that not only will we get the stablecoin bill done, I think that the market structure legislation is coming up next, and I think there's a very good chance we'll get that done.
All right, folks. It is on when you see that. Here's Jeremy Allaire. We're excited to launch, CEO of Circle. Excited to launch USDC on Ripple's XRP ledger, expanding our stablecoin network into more ecosystems. And look at this from Bull Dip. As of now, there are 8 companies with XRP treasury plans. Trident, 500 million. WeBus, 300 million. Vivo Power, 121 million. Wellgistics, 50 million. Hyperscale, 10 million. Worksport, 5 million. BC Bud, 250K. Digital Communications, 225. XRP adoption grows. This guy right here is the president of the ETF store, folks. He's not even a crypto guy. And he said this, by the way, I still fully expect BlackRock to file for spot, SOL, and XRP ETFs. As leader in both spot, Bitcoin, and ETFs, it would make 0 sense to cede other top crypto asset ETF categories to competitors. The writing's on the wall. Here's Brad Garlinghouse on BlackRock.
Seen Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, publicly, this is one of the largest asset managers on the planet, publicly lean into his belief around tokenization of real world assets as a profound opportunity. And as some of you guys know, and I think certainly David and I spent time talking about, we've had a bunch of announcements on this front. Open Eden most recently doing the tokenization of US Treasuries. I think Ripple may or may not have yet publicly announced we're actually going to allocate and buy about $10 million worth of Open Eden US Treasuries, which will be kind of the on-chain version, if you will. But also, one of the things we announced at our last Apex, our developer conference, was a relationship with Archax, and I think he's on stage later today.
Okay, I just wanted to play you that part. Now, here's Robbie Mitchnick. Now, this is very interesting. Robbie Mitchnick was at Ripple, but he literally deleted his time at Ripple from his LinkedIn profile. Doesn't ever talk about Ripple, which is a tell. And here he is
blockchain, not Bitcoin.
Look closely, and you'll see that he's got a Ripple lanyard on.
Crypto is obviously the thing that delivers cash flow at the moment for BlackRock. What do you think is the potential for tokenization versus crypto in the future?
Well, I think what's interesting is sometimes there's been this, what I view as a false dichotomy presented, which is that, in the early days, it was, some people said, blockchain, not Bitcoin. And now kind of the new form of that can be tokenization, not crypto. And I think that somewhat misses the point because these things are quite complementary, actually. And if you think about bringing about a future tokenized state of the world,
he must be from Canada,
versus, more institutional participation in crypto, which one's really riskier? When you think about it, having a bunch of institutions invest, a couple percent of their assets in this new asset class, which is volatile and risky, high return potential, high risk, but at some small percentage of assets, or migrating tens of trillions in assets to this new technology paradigm. I think when you put it that way, it's obvious that the second one is riskier, right? So that's where crypto actually is starting to serve this function as a valuable gateway for institutions to build comfort in this space and with this technology, dealing with digital asset custody, wallets, blockchain-based settlement, etc., that I think is going to prove to be an important catalyst of tokenization. And there, you've seen, some of the dynamic that we've been focused on in our analysis, particularly with respect to Bitcoin. We think there's a misnarrative of sorts in the market, not a great understanding of Bitcoin, a big opportunity for education. We're playing that education role. I think this week was kind of a classic example of that. It would be very hard to make a solid fundamental analysis of why Bitcoin, as a non-sovereign, global, decentralized, scarce asset, is worth less today than it was on Monday because the Middle East is in turmoil, right? And so that delta between what fundamentally makes sense and the way it can be traded on a short-term basis is actually really undermining institutional adoption. And so I think as that gets better understood, it's going to help crypto adoption. Ultimately, that's going to help tokenization adoption.
Okay, we're going to go into the group, daixrp.com, the Patreon. Click join below any of the YouTube videos if you'd rather join through YouTube. And so here's what we're going to talk about. We got some Amazon news. We've been talking a long time about this little theory that maybe Amazon and Ripple had a pretty cozy relationship. Maybe Amazon even owns some XRP. We're going to talk about that. I'm also going to show you, every once in a while I come across a crypto video that has some pretty shocking elements to it. I'm going to show you that. The parts of it are weird, but parts of it are very interesting. And I'm going to show you that. Now, if you think that my son is not, this kid is stubborn enough, this 12-year-old is stubborn enough, it wouldn't matter if this video was 30 minutes long, he would wait for me to finish to come cut his pancakes. I've got my money on him. He will sit there and stare at that food just on principle to make me come cut up his pancakes. So that's what I'm doing after I leave here. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. My 12-year-old is very stubborn. Here we go.